Hello everyone, welcome to Dnyanadeep. In this UPSC Simplified series, we are here with one more UPSC Mains Geography question. Now let's read what the question is. Discuss the multidimensional implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil in the world. Fine. So let us understand locus of the question. So it is about the distribution of mineral oil or mineral oil in general. When it comes to the focus of the question, we have to target the implications. Very simple, straightforward question you can see in this particular session. Now, when you have such a question which is straight, directly we are asked on the implications, right? And implications of what? The uneven distribution. Clear? So simply author is asking कि if there was even distribution of mineral resources, we might not have as many implications. But since this distribution is uneven, there are many implications, right? Now, when it comes to introducing to such questions, it can either be a recent event. Just recall, a lot of events keep taking place. Just recall any event which has happened out of the mineral oil availability, right, or petroleum and gas supplies all across the globe. There are many such incidences. Many wars have been fought, or whatever conflict we have. Let's say that there is a conflict in mineral rich regions, right? You can give example of Middle East. You can give example of Venezuela, right? You can also talk about unavailability of mineral oil in many regions, right? So these can be your recent events with which you can introduce. This is one way, or there can be a generic way to introduce as well. Say key the implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil span from economic, social, environmental, or geopolitics, right? So that can also be an introduction. So either go for a recent event or go for a generic conclusion. Moving next, I'll go to body part. In body part, I have made two parts. Part 1, in part 1 I am going to address importance of mineral oil in economic development and geopolitics. In very brief, I am going to address this particular part. It may not exceed 20 to 30 words. That is it. You are not supposed to go beyond this particular limit. Why we are doing this? We are simply setting a context. You see what mineral oil can does. And once we set this context, it will give us clues for our next discussion. In part 2, I will talk about various implications, right? Now, when it comes to the implications of uneven distribution of mineral oil, first set of implication I am going to address will be economic implication. In economic implication, I have regional disparity. There are nations which have mineral oil. These are wealthy nations. I will talk about the countries located in Middle East. I can talk about countries such as USA, which are not so much dependent on global oil supplies. They have domestic oil supplies. Fine. So wealth disparity amongst nation is going to be there, and that is something, regional disparities in this particular case. Next, I'll talk about the problem of inflation, which occurs time and again in the countries or in the regions which do not have mineral oil. Take example of India. A lot of times inflation in India is prompted by global events. Why? Because wherever there is a global incidence, let's talk about Russia-Ukraine war. What Russia-Ukraine war will result into? The prices of mineral oil will spike. Our imports become expensive. As our import becomes expensive, ultimately it hurts us in the form of inflation, right? So the region which has mineral oil is not going to face the burn of inflation. But countries such as India, which are dependent for almost 80% of their requirement, are going to face the problem of inflation, right? So this is the economic implication. Moving on, next part, environmental implication. In environmental implication, we can talk about a lot of African countries such as Nigeria, or whichever region we find oil extraction is done. In all these regions, we have problem of oil spills, be it over land or over water, oceanic regions. Go anywhere. I just given you one example. Go to Nigeria, Venezuela, or any other region, or even Arctic. There has been discoveries of mineral oil in Arctic region, and result of this particular case is what? The ecology of Arctic is getting deteriorated because there is exploration of mineral oil or extraction of mineral oil from those regions. So there are environmental implications. Then there are social implications. Fine. Social implication, again, this can be clubbed with economic implications. Either club it with economic implication or write separately social implication. What do we find? There will be like uh, the countries which have a lot of mineral reserves. The social impact is in the form of, let's say, people have a lot of demands from the government. They would be expecting government to provide a lot of mineral oils for free, fine. And then that also results into some loss of economic activities, right? Because people are easily able to receive a lot of subsidies or a lot of oil at a cheaper rate from their respective governments. So that reduces your burden, and ultimately the tendency towards economic contribution goes on decreasing. So these type of social implications can also be found. If you go to Middle East, there is a altogether different type of social implication we find as a result of mineral oil or abundance of mineral oil. Again, historical reasons are there, but also the present economic situation which has been created by the abundance of mineral oil is also resulting into some social implications. Moving on to the most important part, that is the geopolitical implication, right? If you go for geopolitical implication, whatever wars we are facing or we have faced, typically in the region of Middle East, a lot of political theory suggests that the conflict in Middle East is nothing but a result of competition for this mineral oil, because almost all of the countries in Middle East have good deposits of mineral oil. And what is the effect of it? Every major power in the world is trying to take over those mineral reserves, and out of this particular race we have conflict or a geopolitical situation which is taking place in these Middle East areas. Similarly, let's take look at the South China Sea, right? Again, South China Sea is a region which has abundant mineral oil. Also, it is the region with geopolitical conditions or geopolitical situation. There is a lot of infighting which is taking place between a lot of nations which are surrounding South China Sea. 9 dash line का एक issue आपको यहाँ पर दिखाई देगा. Similarly, Russia and Europe are in a constant tussle, because whatever requirement of Europe is in terms of energy is provided by Russia, and in this particular matter Russia has a hegemony over those energy resources, and Europe is heavily dependent on Russia. So that particular geopolitical implication you will find in this particular case, and this is the crux you're supposed to address. Your answer is highly incomplete. You're hardly going to get mark on this particular point. Maybe in economic implication, if you write economic implication, you will get some marks. For environmental implication, you will get some marks. But what is being asked, what is the crux which has been asked? It is the geopolitical implication, right? And this geopolitical implication is nothing but an outcome of uneven distribution of mineral oil. Had it been even, every country would had had her own reserves, and there would have been no geopolitical situation. That is how we are supposed to address the body part. On map, what I am going to do, I am going to show the countries which have deposits of mineral oil. So show all the countries which have abundant deposits of mineral oil, and that is how you are also going to show how uneven distribution is there. Further, in conclusion, I can go for a way forward based conclusion, talk about innovation. Let's have some innovation. Same kind of conclusion we discussed in the coal wala question, right? In coal question also we said there should be innovation, right? There should be diversification of energy basket, and sustainable development approach should be there whenever there is a extraction of mineral oil. So all these things can be said in conclusion. You can also go beyond this particular point. So see you again in next session. Thank you.